Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle, got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down.
sir.
Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone!
Yes.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again!
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is the Monday after, which is supposed to be a victory Monday, and it is not. It's more like Loserville Monday, and in a bad way, man. Last night's game really left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouth. Mine, particularly, were not happy with what happened last night. There was a lot of mistakes on behalf of Dan Campbell and the offense, the offensive line. The play calling, the rhythm, the protections. I don't care where you want to point at. The offense killed this game last night. The defense played lights out. We're going to talk about it this morning. What stood out, what didn't, what needs to change. Are the Lions even going to make the playoffs? Can they win the NFC North? We're going to talk about all that and a few other things, including the pool report, Lions box score, Sam Laporta's latest news, and more. Be right back here in 17 seconds. Good morning, everybody.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down
Eric, the Detroit Lions got their asses kicked last night on offense. It was not a game that I think anyone would say 8 out of 10 times that the defense played like that. The Eagles held to 16 points. Hurts not throwing for more than $170 and holding Saquon Barkley to 83 yards. That is a game that you would expect the Detroit Lions, that powerful offense, to lose. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't figure it out last night. And I don't know what you want to blame it on. I don't care what we blame it on. It did not look good, and this is not where you expect to be halfway through the season.
Not at all. Totally unacceptable. It's hard to talk today because I'm so upset still. I couldn't sleep last night. Couldn't go to sleep because I was pissed off. I'm pissed off still this morning. This one hurts. This was hard because our defense played so lights out. They gave everything they had, and our offense just could not get it done. And it was everything from coaching to stupid gloves to people just not catching the ball. Everything went against us. I don't know. Oh, man, the stars aligned for everything to go wrong on offense yesterday. And I must have gotten over 200 messages yesterday about Goff and his gloves, that he needed to ditch those gloves from the beginning of the game.
I don't know why they're worried about his gloves. Like, his gloves have never been a problem.
Yeah,
He's
I
warned
know.
he's warned him in every game where there's going to be nasty weather, cold weather, and they've never been an issue. So I don't know what the deal was.
But he kept adjusting them all night, and it just seemed like balls were getting away from him. I mean, how many balls did he have block or go into the ground or overshoot somebody? It just seemed like the ball wasn't on point yesterday, and he wasn't hitting people in stride.
Well, he did have a couple of nice passes that were definitely in stride. I mean, obviously the one to Amon-Ra St. Brown, another one to J-Mo that went for a touchdown. There's a couple of really, really nice passes in there. The difference in this game, I mean, I'll be just straight up with it. Going one direction, you're going into the wind, and it was extremely windy, and no quarterback can really throw into that. Jalen Hurts couldn't hit the broadside of a barn either. He wasn't wearing gloves. He was overshooting guys. He was undershooting. I mean, he had problems too. So you notice when they flipped the field, that's where the problem was happening more often for Goff than not. And that was early in the game when there was more rain, more wind. It kind of settled down about halfway through the game. It still got cold. It was still a little bit windy, but the rain started to subside. It turned into snow very late into the fourth quarter. But I would say that that's probably your main difference is going that direction, whatever direction they were going to start the game. It was very difficult to throw into the wind. Now, Goff dirting a few balls. He didn't have a choice. I mean, that's just good quarterback play. So you don't take a sack, you don't throw an interception. That's just what Goff does. They don't look pretty. You know, they're not 100-mile-an-hour fastballs into the dirt. You know, like what happens in the MLB where you're just throwing it at the plate or whatever. It looks different. But for Jared Goff last night, he struggled. He struggled because his offensive line was absolutely trash last night. Tate Ratledge looked pitiful. There's times through this game where he was barely touched by a defensive lineman, and he's just doing a little spinny whatever, out of control, falls flat on his back, and he's 10 yards away from the play. Like, how did that happen? It's like he had zero ability to stay on his feet last night. And I know he got, injured early in the game, but he looked extremely top heavy to me last night. He was on his heels for the majority of the game. He was missing the blitz pickups. He was missing the combo blocks. He was missing just about everything that the Eagles are trying to throw our way. And I mean, it wasn't any better for Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell looked terrible last night. So
Yes.
Unfortunately, Jared Goff was under not even the most amount of pressure that he took ever in a game. All right, it was about 40% pressure rate last night. What was it? 16 pressures? That's not the most he's ever faced. The problem was wind. Elements were a factor. Going two ways in that game. Drops were an issue. The Lions dropped, I don't know how many balls, but it was a lot. When you're throwing into the wind, it kind of it'll nose down the ball a little bit, or it could take it up, but it seemed to nose down quite a bit, and it was going low. And I kept saying this throughout the game. The receivers and their gloves are not tacky in cold weather like that. You can't throw the ball low. How many times do we see Amon-Ra St. Brown or J-Mo or anybody skirting across the middle and they get a low pass and they'll dive for it, or Amon-Ra does this famous little roll, where he kind of dives and rolls. They didn't do that much last night. And when they tried to go down and get after the ball, it just bounced off their gloves because their gloves are hard as a rock. If it was 65 degrees and a little bit wet, that ball sticks. Those gloves are not designed, to be tacky in cold weather. Wet weather, yes, but not cold weather like that. And so that's another thing where it's hard to put the ball, on the waist. Jalen Hurts had the same problem. He had the same problem. The difference was we passed the ball 37 times. They didn't. And so it looked worse on our end. But I'm not going to put all this on Jared Goff either. I kept seeing comments last night, Eric.
No.
I don't know about you, trying to say, I'm so sick of Jared Goff. It's one
The
freaking game.
The Goff haters and the SOL people came out of the woodwork right after that first tip pass and Jared Goff wearing the gloves. That's what I was trying to say, is that people were just going crazy on Goff, and it wasn't all Goff. But asking Goff to throw 37 times is way too many times in those conditions. What happened to ground and pound? Why were we not running the ball? Where was it? We had 74 total rushing yards. That is not enough.
No, and the run game started to open up, and then we went away from it, and then the pass game opened up. Before I get too far left on this, because there are some things that I do want to hit, like the Dan Campbell coaching blunders, which is a big part of last night. Jared Goff hitting the defensive lineman. You know, what they said during the game is this is something that must have shown up on tape, and I said this last night during the live stream. You have to put your quarterback in a position to win. And if you are constantly getting balls batted down, 5 batted passes at the line of scrimmage last night, if the ball continues to get batted down, there's a reason for that. Either your quarterback is short stroking his drop back and he's not getting deep enough, or you're not operating out of the gun often enough, or you're not moving the quarterback left or right of center to get away from, the guys, the defensive tackles, the defensive ends that are able to get their hands up, or your angles are too tight. And what I kept noticing last night was angles were a little bit too tight, right or left. There was 2 batted passes going right or left. There was batted pass kind of going center left of Goff. Can't remember who that was to. It might have been going to Brock Wright, actually. But it was a problem with the angles. Jared Goff was not getting deep enough, and that is play calling, right? You have to get deep enough. And if it becomes an issue, you have to recognize it, and you have to say, look, I need to get out. I need to roll out. If they would have had Gibbs rolling out with Jared Goff last night and hit him in the flat, that would have punished the Eagles all night. Why? Because they're constantly rushing 4. You needed to use that rush against them. And I expect somebody like Dan Campbell to do that, and we didn't. We didn't use it against them once. You needed a screen pass against the rush. I don't think the bubble screen is the right answer. It definitely was not. You needed to screen pass that behind them, not to the right of them. You needed to get behind them, and that means Goff had to move a little bit. But anyway, angles, drop back, they were a problem. Play calling was a problem. Stubbornness was a problem. Matter of fact, I kept saying last night how Dan Campbell, he jackpotted us last night. And what I mean by that is he was stubborn. He was the Dan Gambles that we know to love and hate. Last night was not the time to gamble. 0 for 5 on 4th down. 0 for 5. Kick a field goal. The other guy was doing it. Jake Bates hit a 54-yarder into the wind. Clearly, he could have made another field goal or 2 last night that would have helped this game out. It was early. Dan Campbell's trying to put the pressure on. I get it. But if he really felt that this game was going to be a low-scoring game, that he felt his defense was able to win, which I think he kept putting this on the defense last night on purpose. He felt that the defense could hold up, and so going for it on a short field, their short field, you're going to give the ball back to them with good field position. You just don't do that stuff. Not in a game like this that can decide the NFC. You have it was eerily reminiscent, like you said this morning, of the 2023 NFC Championship game where we just took too many risks, unnecessary risks that were, in my opinion, just a little bit too, reckless, man. It's just Dan Campbell's got to wake up in these situations and not put his team at a disadvantage. I was trying to find the soundbite. Anyway, give me your thoughts real quick. Give me the rundown on the game.
Yeah, so it felt like with the play calling that Dan, for some reason last night, things were going too fast for Dan Campbell. The play calling was very reminiscent of the NFC Championship game. I was screaming, kick the ball, kick the ball, kick the ball, just like I was at the NFC Championship game. Going 0 for 5 on 4th downs is unacceptable. And why we didn't try any field goals is beyond me. if the Lions kick on 3 of the 5 fourth down attempts, this could have been a much, much different game. And although Jake Bates did miss an extra point after the JMO penalty, it should not have stopped MCDC from utilizing Bates in the kicking game, in my opinion.
Yeah, but why? But why did he miss that though? Why did he miss that field goal? What happened?
The extra point?
Yeah, or the extra point. Why did he miss it?
Yeah. Well, because JMO had a penalty and it was back 15 yards.
And into the wind early in the game.
Into the wind when it was very windy in the beginning of the game. But not all of the fourth down tries were in the beginning of the game. A lot of them were later on after the Eagles kicker had already made field goals going in that direction.
Yeah, so the point the point that I was trying to bury there into that was JMO.
That shouldn't be a penalty to hug the goalpost. Yeah, but come on.
But it is. And so JMO
shouldn't be.
JMO jackpotted us last night with his stupidity and immaturity. And I'm sorry. I get what you're saying. It shouldn't be a penalty.
I don't care. That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a penalty.
It's a stupid penalty. But you know what, Eric? It's in the rule book. And if it's in the rule book, it's a rule. And if it's a rule that carries a penalty, you don't effing do it. It's that simple. Expect the expected. It's a penalty. They're going to call it. It's unsportsmanlike conduct.
When you're in the heat of the moment and you do that,
they don't care. The ref's in the heat of the moment too.
Yeah, I know, but that's just the heat of the moment thing. They could have let that slide.
So are you making an excuse for JMO for breaking a rule that he knows is a rule? Is that what we're doing? Are we making excuses for him?
No, I'm just saying that should not be a penalty for anyone, not just for JMO.
You're right. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. I think it's stupid.
Be a penalty for anyone.
But
I'm going to go hug the goalpost. It's not like he's dunking it and bending the goalpost down. You're not going to do anything. Hugging the goalpost.
Right. That's the problem. So they feel like
rule ever.
They feel like if you mess with the goalpost at all, period, it is going to give an unnecessary disadvantage or advantage to one of the teams because the goalpost is going to bend a little bit one way or the other. The goalposts are very flimsy, and anytime you hit it, the whole thing rocks back and forth. And so if it moves over a couple of inches and the ball doesn't go through the uprights and it bangs off a pole after you touched it, then that's where the competition thing comes in and competitive fairness, and that's why they have a problem with it. So I get all that. But yeah, to your point, stupidest rule ever. JMO, there's 1,000 other dances you could have done.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. If I'm Dan Campbell, I am bringing JMO in my office this week. I'm bringing Amon-Ra St. Brown in my office this week. I'm bringing anybody that scores touchdowns. Any of my touchdown people. I'm bringing them in my office this week. Gibbs, all of them. And I'm saying, listen, this is what I want you guys to do for the rest of the season. When you guys score an effing touchdown, you hand the ball to the ref and you come back to the sideline. Do your celebration dance behind the sideline or something.
No, that's the smartest thing I think I've ever heard, honestly. I've never heard someone say that before. That's the smartest thing I've ever heard. Hand the ball off, be like Barry Sanders. That's great. We've seen that. We've heard that. Go do it behind the sideline. Go do it for the fans. But they're in the heat of the moment. So they want to do it right there. They want to do it when all the cameras are on them. That's why they're doing it. But that's probably one of the smartest things I've heard yet, man, is just hand the frickin' ball off and get back to the damn sideline or huddle or whatever's going on.
Yeah, you know, I know they want to have fun. I know they want to celebrate, and the coach wants to let them be themselves. But listen, there's a point where you need to step in and say, enough of this crap. This is costing us games. This is costing us precious points. All of this needs to stop immediately for the foreseeable future. You get the number 1 seed back, then you can do it all you want. But until then, we're going to hand the ball off when we score a touchdown from now on. And we're going to go do our celebrations behind the bench.
Or you just don't do them at all.
Yeah. Either way.
So last night, I think it was Brian Brady last night that asked the question. Or no, I'm sorry. It was Tony. It was Tony last night asked the question, how many unsportsmanlike conducts the Lions have taken, to your point, the costly penalties and costing us points. Well, I really couldn't find the answer, but there's been 10 games where the Lions have had some sort of an unsportsmanlike called, but only 2 of them counted against them, I guess. I don't know how that's possible because unsportsmanlike conduct is an automatic. I don't think you can decline it. So both of them been away games. But JMO's is the only one that has popped up that has actually cost us potential points in the season so far. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe I can find more stats on it. But I did find this little thing here. I'll post it in the chat for you all so you guys can follow it if you want. But there's this penalty tracker.
And to put this point out there for someone in the chat, listen, I don't care if we just take JMO in. I don't care. I don't care if it's just JMO. I don't care if it's just Amon-Ra. I don't care if it's Gibbs. I'm going to say to everybody, if I'm the coach, that's it. We're done with this celebration crap. Just hand the ball off and go back to the effing sideline. Let's act like we've been there before. Let's do this.
Yeah, I think that's the key point too, man. Act like we've been there before because they've all been there plenty of times. And I still don't know what the hell this thing is. What is this thing? They look like an elephant. What is this? What does this mean? Anybody know? I still don't.
All that crap.
It's so stupid.
All that crap. Every first down, every stop, every sack. I mean, there's so many celebrations on everything. It's like, just clap your hands and go back to the huddle. Why it's got to be nana nana boo boo fu on every single play is beyond me. Yeah, Peter Van Larhoven put NFL equals WWE with helmets and shoulder pads, and that's what it's getting to be.
Biggest
it's disappointing.
Biggest disappointment of last night. The referees absolutely cannot with a capital C interject in a game, fourth quarter, under 2 minutes to go, and you throw a bullshit pass interference against Rock Ya-Sin, who's played an amazing game versus Brown. Amazing game. And last night, this game was decided by that penalty. There was still time. The Lions defense was still playing well. And we actually shut them down on that play. They were going to have to punt. And you throw a pass interference. So, Eric, I know you wanted to go through the pool report. Do you actually want to read it, or do you want me just to go through a couple of the headers of it?
So, Alex Camp spoke with the pool reporter after the game to explain the late game pass interference call on Rock Ya-Sin. And this is what he had to say. Quote, why the pass interference on that play from Berman? And then the official, Camp, said, the official observed the receiver's arm getting grabbed and restricting him from going up to make the catch. So the ball was in the air. There was a grab at the arm, restricted him, and he called defensive pass interference. End quote. Regardless of the explanation, Detroit, its coaching staff, and many observers found the call debatable. Replays suggested Brown may have extended his own arm before the ball arrived, leading some to believe, myself included, that offensive pass interference should have been a more accurate ruling. Rock Ya-Sin finished the game with 6 tackles, and he too was shocked at the penalty, pointing out the officials had allowed similar physical coverage throughout the contest with no issue. This was not the first time Rock Ya-Sin was penalized in a high-profile Sunday night football matchup. In the Lions' Week 6 Sunday night football appearance against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was flagged for a similar pass interference call against tight end Travis Kelce. Mind-blowing.
Oh, the one on Travis. Yeah, come on. The one on Travis Kelce. Are we serious right now?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. That's the only other penalty that they can come up with. That was bull.
that's it.
That was bullshit too.
Exactly.
Okay, so I mean, I'm rewatching the play right now. Where's the ref at?
Brown pushed off. I don't care what anyone says. Rock Ya-Sin did nothing on that play for a flag. There's nothing at all. He did not grab his arm. That is Brown pushing off on Rock Ya-Sin's chest plate.
Well, okay. To be fair here, he did grab the back of his shoulder, but this was bang bang.
Do you see any jersey being pulled? Do you see his arm being grabbed like they're saying? I don't.
Yeah, the back of his arm, the back of the left side of AJ Brown's tricep. That's where he grabbed. So when AJ Brown went into his break and started to break outside, they both kind of were hand fighting that whole time. Normal, bang bang type stuff. Was a shitty call. I do agree with that. It was a terrible call. It happened all game long. You call it one way throughout the game. You need to finish that way. You can't set up these players to continue to play this way. And then at the end of the game, you say, I'm going to call it this time. Because you just stood the Eagles up on the 30-yard line, and now you got to punt the ball, and the Lions have too much time to go and score. Like you said, Eric, like maybe they wanted everybody to go get some hot chocolate and get warm after the game, as opposed to going to overtime. Now, mind you, this is the thing that's blowing me away. The ref on the sideline, who is at the down marker, so he's on the line of scrimmage, okay? He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards away from the play. He's staring right at it like a hunting dog is pitched on a bird. He doesn't throw a flag.
Nope.
He doesn't flinch. But the guy that's 20 yards down the field, the back judge, he throws the flag like a Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
So how does that guy back there have a better view of the guy that's right in front of him? He doesn't. They didn't call this. A.J. Brown didn't complain. He didn't throw his hands up. That normally the LeBron behavior didn't happen. None of that happened. But this ref decided it was time to make sure the Eagles win this game.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the refs, people are talking in the chat. The refs, they decided they weren't going to call any late hits on Jared Goff. They weren't going to call any low hits on Jared Goff, where he had one defender hit him low, one defender hit him high, and sandwich him into a pretzel.
Mm-hmm.
There was no calls on any of that. You're letting all that crap go.
Well, how about the 16 holding calls? They weren't called.
Yeah, exactly.
It's consistent, man. It's consistent in the NFL that they pick and choose which plays they want to utilize to throw a flag on, at which team, at which time. And look, I know it seems like we talk about penalties and refs after a loss. I think everybody does. This is just a few of the plays of the game that had a big change in the game. Leading up to this point, refs. I mean, leading up to the 2 minutes, left in the game, I would say that it was a fairly evenly called game. I don't know where
I do too.
I don't know where the penalties were at that point. I don't know who had more or who had less or whatever, but
so the Eagles had 9 penalties for 78 yards. The Lions had 5 for 48. The Eagles had almost double the penalties that we had. And they would have had double had we not had that last pass interference penalty.
Okay, so there's the ref issue. Obviously, you just don't do this, right? You don't do this in a high-stakes game. Call the game the same way. Both players, I've got it locked in right now. They both have their arms on each other. They are both 5 yards down or over 5 yards downfield. Both of them should have been flagged. Light push-off, hand fighting, a grab on the back of the arm. You're both at fault. Call a double penalty, replay the down. I'd rather see him do that. Call it both ways, replay the down. I wouldn't be mad about that. And then if the Eagles got a first down, I would be less pissed. Because then at least you gave both teams an option. But you didn't give the Lions an option in a game where it was a very hard-fought game. I will transition to this. Speaking of the defense, Kelvin Shepherd last night outcoached Dan Campbell. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Kelvin Shepherd last night outcoached Dan Campbell. That defense came to play. There's still some issues on that defense for certain individuals. We'll talk about the name that y'all love me talking about. But this was not a pass rush issue, and I want to make sure we're very clear on that. This is not a pass rush issue. There's a very different style of defense between what the Eagles run and what the Lions ran last night. The Lions ran containment zone, and that containment zone ended up getting a sack on Jalen Hurts. That containment zone kept Hurts bottled up. That containment zone kept Barkley bottled up and Hurts bottled up on the ground until later in the game. And that was only later in the game when Kelvin Shepherd went away from the containment zone. And guess what he went to? He went to the blitz. He went to getting after the passer. He did it for about 4 or 5 plays. And then, I see him. And then that's when Hurts and Barkley were able to do something with their feet. So what worked? Should have stuck with it. You changed it. That's when we got hurt. So I don't want to hear anything about a pass rush because that's not the issue. They played the defense exactly the way they needed to play it last night. The biggest problem for me is if you're going to talk about pass rush, you have to talk about 2 things with it. And that's Aiden Hutchinson and his run defense. Last night, Aiden Hutchinson could not beat a one-on-one. I'm looking at all these plays with Aiden up on Mayada. Can't beat a one-on-one. Mayada didn't let up one pressure last night. Not one. First time he's done that. First time. Matter of fact, the number is... Let me go back to it. The number is... Jordan Mayada did not allow a single pressure on his 31 pass blocked snaps last night. 9 of those matchups came against Aiden Hutchinson and 6 against Lee McNeil. This marks the first game this season in which Mayada did not allow a single pressure.
Figured.
First game this season against your $181 million man, 9 times, not one pressure. In this league, you have to win your one-on-ones. Aiden's not winning his one-on-ones. So you know what? If you want another pass rusher on the other side, it doesn't frickin' matter. Because he's still not winning his one-on-ones. When he gets more than 50% of the opportunities a game to win one-on-ones, he should have 50 frickin' sacks, right? Because he's that good? No, he's not. And he's not playing that good. His run defense, missed tackles, over 41% this season. Against the run, they baited him last night, just like I said they were going to into the pregame and on Friday. Exactly what I said that they were going to do to Aiden, they did. They baited him. They baited him. They let him crash in, wide arc, behind Jalen Hurts. There they go. Run play with Barkley and Jalen Hurts takes it and extends the play. The minute that Kelvin Shepherd got away from the contain game, they baited Aiden, and they got away with it. Why is it that I can see this shit and nobody else can? I don't understand it. I really don't. Aiden's a great player. He is. But these are the games where you have to be beyond great. These are the games where you have to show up and control the game. Be that game wrecker, right? Take the game over. Become a Myles Garrett. Aiden has yet to do that for me. He needs way too much help. If you consistently think he needs more edge help, he needs way too much help then. I don't know why you'd pay a man $181 million if you think he still needs more help. But again, last night was not about pass rush. It was about pass contain. And the Lions had one of the most beautiful defenses I've seen in a long time. Great stuff by those guys. And Aiden had a big part in that too. Great job last night. Just a couple of plays got to him. A couple of super chats this morning. Ed O'Neill says, what hurts is that the defense is clearly championship level, but we are paying players $25 million plus to drop easy passes. You have to make the play. Thank you for the $4.99, Ed. Good to see you back in around, Ed. My quick comments on that. It was a tough game last night. You know, tough weather, wind, you name it. Yeah, you got to make the play. You do. But some of that stuff's going to happen too. I'm not going to put it all on them. There's too many hands in the cookie jar in this game. Ed O'Neill dropped another $1.99 in and says, we will have to go back to Philly. And Laporta was definitely missed. 1,000% he was missed last night. I think Laporta was the key to unlock this game. King Turner just dropped $1.99. Says Jalen Phillips was in Goff's face a lot last night. Or shake my head. He was. Rushing 4. Penei Sewell. Tate Ratledge. Man, they took advantage of Tate Ratledge last night. The inside twist in the games that they were playing with Tate Ratledge, he was a fish out of water. He was a fish out of water. But two different styles of defense here. You don't play contain against Jared Goff. He doesn't run. He's not a dual threat. Right? You play contain against a guy like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. And it works. Matter of fact, last night the Browns dropped Lamar Jackson 5 times. And that's because they were playing the contain and they were winning naturally with 4. The Lions last night did the same thing. They were winning. They were doing good. It works for them, but two totally different styles of defense. Thank you guys for your super chats. Go ahead, Eric.
Myles Garrett had 5 sacks yesterday of Lamar Jackson. They lost that game.
Yep.
So sacks mean dog doo-doo, really. If they're winning the games, great. But right now the sack leader is Myles Garrett by a mile. He is tearing it up. He's got 12 sacks or something on the season now. And listen, the Browns are awful. They're horrible. Oh, and a side note, Shedeur Sanders got in yesterday. And then after the game, it came out that the head coach said that Shedeur Sanders in the game was his very first snaps of the entire season with the first team.
Yeah.
So he has not practiced with the first team a single snap all season. And that was his first actual reps with the first teamers, was in a comeback situation at the end of a game. Pretty crazy that you don't get your quarterbacks prepared to play.
Yeah, that is nuts. It is.
I kind of hope he gets a chance to start next week, though. It sounds like he's going to.
Well, I mean, Dylan's in what? Concussion protocol?
Yeah.
No, Shedeur was pressured 52% of the time when he was in. I mean, they dialed up the pressure on him big time.
Yeah.
They brought 11 quarterback pressures on him in, a half? He was sacked twice. He was 4-16. It was not a good night.
No.
But you don't ever practice
cold.
Yeah.
Cold with no reps with any of these guys. Oh my God. What a horrible situation for him to walk into. But people were just slaying him today. And I get it. I did. I picked on the guy during the draft and everything else. I think he's been humbled a little bit. But now he's got an opportunity. Let's see what he can do with it with a week of practice with the starters. And I think he might surprise some people.
Oh, he will. I have full confidence in Shedeur Sanders based on what he's done. He's gone to a few programs and taken them from the basement to winners, and he'll do the same thing in Cleveland if Cleveland in that ownership has a clue. That's going to be what he's up against. So last night, the Lions went 0 for 5 on 4th down.
Yes.
And this was tied for second the most attempts in a game without a conversion by any team since 1991. The Lions previously went 0-6 on fourth down in week 5 of 2022 versus the Patriots. We lost that game 29-0. And so where all the fourth downs came from, if I go back and take a look at the play-by-play, which let me just run through that real quick. First quarter, the Eagles get the ball and they have to punt. Lions, again, executed a really good defense. Al-Qadim Muhammad was up in Hurt's face a couple of times, early in this game. So they punt. We get the ball back. That ball gets tipped at the line of scrimmage, goes to an interception to Cooper DeJean. That is not the way you want to start the game. Defense comes in. I mean, look, they only had to go 11 yards or 9 yards or whatever it was, the Eagles, and we shut them down. We forced them to a field goal early. So we're down 3-0 on 2 Eagles possessions. I'm feeling good. I'm fine. I think we're okay. Yeah, the interception sucks. But again, the tip passes is a problem. It is a huge problem to start this game, and it didn't end right there. It continued. So we get the ball back after they score a field goal. We go 3 plays, 6 yards, minus 6 yards, mind you, and have to punt. Jared Goff was sacked by Jalen Phillips. There was a penalty on Tate Rowledge for holding that was declined. Tate Rowledge was a big problem last night. Now, he's played pretty well this season. His rookie showed up last night. And I don't know what he's dealing with injury-wise, but he didn't look healthy at all. He was swimming in deep water. And he was barely treading water. So we give the ball back. They punt. Eagles go 4 plays and out. We get the ball back. We punt. That's the end of the first quarter. 3-0, Philly. And there might be a total of 70 yards between the offenses, maybe, in the first quarter. So at this point, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be a defensive game. The weather sucks. It's windy. The Lions have a much better chance in this game because of our ground game, you would think. You would think. We get into the second quarter. Eagles get the ball back after Jack Fox punts. 3 plays and out. 2 yards. They have to punt. Lions get the ball back. And this is where the first fourth down comes into play. The Lions on a 4th and 1 at the Detroit 28.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit 28.
Kick the ball.
The Lions report skipper is eligible. Jahmyr Gibbs goes up the middle for no gain. 4th and 1 ends that series. And now the Eagles take over. But again, the defense shows up. 3 plays, 0 yards, 24 seconds taken off the clock. That seems a little nuts to me. I don't know how it was only 24 seconds, but they went incompletion, 3 straight passes. The Legion of Whom showed up, and they punt.
They sure did.
But that's where Jalen Hurts was spraying the ball too. He couldn't hit anything. We get the ball back. We go 4 downs again. 4-yard run on 1st and 10. 4-yard pass on 2nd and 6. An incompletion on 3rd and 2. Jared Goff is incomplete, short middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the one that bounced off his hands. And then on 4th down, we get into a punt formation, Eric.
Yep.
We direct snap it to Grant Stewart. In this play, this play fell apart at the snap. If you look on that play, had that ball been snapped anywhere else, it was wide open to the right. They didn't even try to come in and block the punt. Yep. It was wide open. Even if he probably would have ran to the left, he would have had a better chance. But instead, you tried.
That's the one. Listen, that's the one where you snap it to Jack Fox. You let Grant Stewart leak out to the right, and that's where you throw the ball. Nobody there. Jack Fox has shown that he's got an arm. He can do it. He's done it in the past. That's the fake I wanted
to have them pass the ball last night?
Yeah.
No.
That would have been way better on that fourth down.
Well, think about what you're saying there, though. If Jared Goff can't pass the ball in that weather, how is Jack Fox going to pass the ball?
Jared Goff is under a bunch of pressure. Jack Fox wouldn't have had anyone in his face.
That's maybe not. If once they hike the ball all the way back there, you typically have some gunners But even if they didn't come after the punt, he eventually would have had someone in his face. They would have realized pretty quickly it's a pass.
But he could at least make the decision.
And Jared Goff,
get it back to him.
And Jared Goff,
get it back to Fox, he can make the decision whether to punt it or to throw it. If the guy's open, you throw it real easy. If it's not, you kick the ball.
Even in a clean lane last night, Jared Goff was having trouble throwing into the wind. I personally, I would disagree. I would not have thrown a fake pass or a fake punt. I mean, the run is the way to go.
I probably wouldn't have either. And where were we when that happened?
I
think we were on our own side of the 50, weren't we?
Let me get back to it.
Or their side.
We were at the Detroit 43.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done anything.
43 plus 18. That'd have been a 61-yard field goal. I wouldn't have went for a field goal there.
I would have either have just run a play or pooched it. That's it.
Yeah.
Run a play or punt it.
Pooch kicking it there would have been the better decision.
So then the Eagles get the ball back. They kick another field goal. They're up 6-0 at this point. They go 9 plays, 27 yards, and they made a 34-yard field goal this time. Lions get the ball back at the end of the second quarter. There is, about 6 minutes left. We go incomplete short middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which, by the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown last night targeted, more than 12 times? Amon-Ra St. Brown was targeted 12 times, 2 catches. That kind of output is just despicable. So you're going to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's not catching the ball, but you continue to throw him the ball. Doesn't make any sense to me. Jahmyr Gibbs, you throw him something short. He was taking it a mile. So Lions finally get a touchdown. We go 3 plays, 74 yards. You start off with an incompletion and a 34-yard pass and then a 15-yard penalty. And then the Lions connect with Jameson Williams for a 40-yard touchdown. The unsportsmanlike brings Jake Bates back an extra 15 yards. He misses the extra point. So it's 6-13 at this point after the Eagles get the ball back and they score a touchdown right after we score a touchdown. It was just too easy. They get the ball, they run down the field. In 10 plays, 64 yards. So now it's 6-13. End of the first half. What a tough, grinded out first half. But if you were to tell me, Eric, that at the end of the first half, you'd maybe have 250 yards of total offense between two teams, and there's only 19 points on the board, I would have said Lions are winning this game.
Yep.
Lions are winning this game. So we get the ball back in the third quarter. We go 6 plays. We go to 4th down again. And we do an incomplete pass again to J-Mo Williams this time, 4th and 5. Before that, it was an incomplete pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Before that, it was a short pass to Brock Wright for 4 yards. I don't quite understand what happened and why or how we continue to miss easy passes. But it happened all night. They get the ball back, they punt, right? No harm, no foul. All right, we go 4 downs, they punt. We get the ball back, we go 4 downs again. Start off with a run to Demo. Demo finally gets inserted in the game. Then a 42-yard pass to Gibbs. And then a 2-yard run to Gibbs. And then a 4-yard run to Gibbs. And then a 10-yard run to Gibbs. And then we stall out. 2-yard pass to J-Mo. 2-yard run to Gibbs. 1-yard run to Gibbs. And then it's 4th and goal at the Philly 3. And we set up a pass play. And this is where some people were saying that Brock Wright was wide open. He wasn't wide open. He was either the 4th or the comeback progression on this play. J-Mo, if you would have lofted it to the left corner, would have had an opportunity at it, or it would have been picked. Brock Wright, had he been the first or second option on this play, when he was on the left side of the hash, before he got way to the right side, he would have been wide open over the middle. For a little dump pass over the middle, it would have been a touchdown. My problem is he wasn't in the end zone. He was still a couple yards in the field of play. And we were having trouble completing balls over the middle. They weren't getting batted down every damn time Jared threw it. But this just reeks to me. You know, we get a ton of pressure on this play. Jared Goff's going down at the time he's throwing the ball. When were we going to get Jared Goff out of that pocket? When were we going to start rolling him out last night? Jared on the run it's a fun thing to watch. Not because there's a little humor in it, but when he moves, he gets his legs moving and he gets outside the pocket, Jared Goff connects. If you go back 3 seasons ago, during the NFC Championship run, Jared Goff was rolling out left and right all the time, primarily to his right. And they connected 15, 12, 17-yard shots to Sam Laporta or whomever all the time. Anyway, we don't get the TD. It's 4th and 3. They get the ball back. They punt five plays later, but they ended up getting, almost to midfield before they had to punt. We get the ball back again. It's like the fourth possession in a row that we go down on downs. 7 plays. It's 4th and 3 again. A very winnable 4th down, and we set up an incomplete pass again short to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Every time we go to St. Brown on 4th down, he drops the ball, or the ball's not thrown good enough, or something happens. Why were we not using Gibbs in some of these option plays? It'll never make sense to me. To sum it up, they kick a field goal at 16-6. We go punt, they go punt, we go punt, they go 4 downs. We get a field goal on 4 plays minus 7 yards. We get to 9 and 16, and then the rest is history. So 0 for 5 on 4th down. It's a large reason why we lost this game.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have done differently? So Dan Campbell's blunders. I think he outfoxed himself.
Listen, we get that touchdown when we're at the 3-yard line, when Gibbs runs it all the way down there, or if Gibbs just scores there. This is a much, much, much different game at the end of this game. If it's tied up going into the last 2 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Such a different game.
I don't know where to go from here, Eric. I really don't. It's like,
well, listen.
It's like, what is Dan going to do differently now? I mean, are we going to get into another situation like this the rest of the season? Probably not. This was one of the very few games that we have outside in potential bad weather. The next one is going to be Week 18 against Chicago.
And that's it. And Chicago doesn't have a defense like Philly. I'm sorry. The Bears, let them enjoy their week of being in first place, because it's not going to last very long. The Bears have a brutal schedule coming up. The Green Bay Packers have a brutal schedule coming up. We have 2 really good teams left on our schedule. We got Green Bay and we have LA. Other than that, we should be able to win all the remaining games we have. The next 3 are all at home. We have the Giants, we have the Green Bay Packers, and the Dallas Cowboys. We should win all 3 of those games. Green Bay is a revenge game. New York, man, they don't know what's coming. These guys are going to be pissed off for that game. So that should be 2 of them. And then Dallas, we don't like to lose against Dallas. So I see us winning the next 3 games. I think the water's going to find its level, as they say. And this game, man, this might be a preview of a playoff game coming up. So you better get your crap together, because you might have to go to Philly and you might have to do this again.
Well, I don't know what you see on the Bears schedule, but they have the Eagles in 2 weeks away.
Yep. They got Green Bay twice.
And they have Green Bay twice.
In 2 weeks.
Or
in 3 weeks.
I mean, that's a favorable matchup.
No, I think the Green Bay Packers are better than the Bears.
Yeah, but they know each other. That's the thing. That's a favorable matchup.
Listen, the Bears have played a 4th place schedule. They're playing easy teams. But when they have to play the teams that are good on their schedule, they haven't done well. And they've barely beaten a bunch of the really bad teams. They lost to the Ravens with
the Ravens are a good team.
Quarterback.
Yeah, but the Ravens are a good team. So here's where I was going. The Eagles, they should hopefully lose that game. But if the Eagles play like they did last night, the Bears can win that game. They have the Browns. Browns have a good defense. That should create some trouble. If anything, I think the Browns might be the toughest defense they face outside of the Eagles. So they have two tough defenses that they're going to face. The Packers, you never know who's going to show up. The game at Lambeau, they should lose. The game in Chicago, they could win.
Yeah.
The Steelers, that's a crapshoot. The 49ers.
Aaron Rodgers is looking like he's going to be out for that game.
The 49ers, not real sure who the 49ers are any given moment, but that is away. If I'm looking at the Bears' schedule right now, you have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 losses the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And where are they at right now? 7-2?
Yeah.
6, 7.
No, they're one game ahead of us.
7-3?
Yeah.
So they could finish 10-7.
Yep. They're 7-3. We're 6-4.
So
Packers are 6-3-1.
If they potentially have 4 losses on their schedule, they'll be 10-7.
Yep.
And that's not including the Lions game. That's not including Week 18. Okay, so on the other side, to give us, I guess, a little bit of an NFC North look at the Packers. Packers have the Vikings coming up, and they have the Lions, and then they're back home with the Bears. And then they go on the road to the Broncos, and then they go away to the Bears. And then they go back home with the Ravens, and then they go away to the Vikings. So the Packers...
Broncos are no joke.
Yeah, the Packers have at least 1, 2... 3. I'll give them 4 losses. Where are they at right now? 6-3?
They're 6-3-1.
6-3-1. So they're going to be in that same boat. They're going to be in that 9-7-1 or 10-6-1 area is what I see happening with the Packers.
We can only lose a maximum of 1 more game. 1.
I think we can lose 2, but
basically have to run the table.
Okay, then you have the Vikings.
I really think the Vikings are doomed with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, he's not playing well.
No.
He does make some incredible throws at times, but he's got such a weird release. He's a very weird
Super
release.
Erratic. Yeah.
So they have the Packers coming up. Could be a loss. They have the Seahawks. That definitely should be a loss. Look, I'm not discrediting these Giants, man. The Giants are not an easy win right now. Even though they have a terrible defense, they're still not an easy win. They've been playing teams pretty tough.
They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Eagles.
Well, they beat the Chiefs when they were healthier, right? They beat the Eagles when they were healthy.
They beat the Eagles.
The Eagles, yeah. They beat the Eagles when they were healthier. So they have the Vikings at the Packers. The Vikings go on the road to the Seahawks. They come back for the Commanders. They come back for the Cowboys. They go on the road to New York. Then they come home for the Lions. And then they're back home for the Packers. So I'll give them 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. What's their record right now? 4-6.
Yeah.
So they could potentially finish 7-10 to 9-8. So I'm not worried about the Vikings. I'm really not. the Packers and the Bears are going to have to battle it out for second place. This could end up being, Eric, where we get into the last week, and it might be one team coming out of the North.
Yep.
Because you could easily see, and I don't know the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers schedules if they match up with each other at the end of the season, but you could see 3 teams coming out of the West, 1 team coming out of the South, 1 team coming out of the East, 1 team coming out of the North. That leaves 1 more team. They could come out of the South, the North, or the East. And it's not going to be the East, and it could be the South, depending on what the Panthers do. Might only be 2 teams coming out of the North, but either way, yeah, it's not looking good. It's going to be a tough ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride for everybody on the way out to make it to the playoffs. Look, the season is far from over. The discussion that I saw this morning, there was an article where this dude, John Whitaker, said, at this point, the Lions do not look like a team that is capable of winning a Super Bowl. You know, when the Chiefs won their last Super Bowl, they did not look good at all.
No.
They looked terrible.
If not for the refs last year, there's no way they would have went 12-5.
Well, the year before that is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
They did not, because they didn't win it last year. The Eagles did. They looked terrible last season, that previous season. And a lot of people were questioning whether or not that they were even going to, finish the way that they finished. They ended up winning, quite a few more games than they should have. And the Lions, I kind of see them in that same boat. So the Chiefs, they ended up going, 11-6 in 2023. And it did not look like a team that was capable of carrying a Super Bowl trophy either. And yeah, they probably had a lot more help than the NFL will ever care to admit. But that 2023 season, you couldn't have told me, you couldn't have sold me that they were going to win the Super Bowl watching them, and how they played that season. We beat them to open up the season. They barely beat the Jags. They smoked the Bears. They barely beat the Jets by 3. They beat the Vikings by 7. They beat the Broncos by 9 or 10, 11, excuse me. They handed the Chargers a big loss. The Broncos come in and smoke them. Or they go to the Broncos and get smoked. They got beat by the Eagles. The Packers put it on them in December. The Bills barely beat them. The Raiders beat them on Christmas. And then in the last game of the season, they barely pull one out against the Chargers. But they end up with the Dolphins, of all teams, in the NFC wildcard round. And then in the divisional round, they barely beat the Bills by 3 points. Then they take on the Ravens in the conference championship, winning by 7. And then they barely beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. That was not a team that you would have looked at that season and said, you know what? They're going to win the Super Bowl. The Lions are kind of that Chiefs team right now. They struggled to beat teams that they should win against. Or they've struggled with losses on teams that they should have beat. We should have beat the Eagles last night. 1,000%. But no way am I saying that this team is down and out. We need to get healthy somehow. Like if there's some magic health pill, this offensive line needs a double dose. Something needs to change. My biggest complaint from last night, Eric, is this. Dan Campbell got up on the podium after the Vikings loss and said we should have done something different with the offensive line, right? Should have done more 7-man protections. He doubled down on that the next day in the press conference. I mentioned it during the game. I mentioned it in the morning show. It gets validated by Dan Campbell. I posted on X. 2 weeks later, Dan Campbell goes into Philadelphia and doesn't do it. We had maybe 0 7-man protections last night. Consistently 5. Yeah, Skipper was brought in as eligible on one play, at least one play. But where you're getting absolutely thrashed in this game on the offensive line, you don't make one change? You don't put an extra offensive lineman in there? You don't go to 2 or 3 tight end sets? I get it. We don't have Sam Laporta, but maybe you bring somebody else in? What was he thinking? Just because you don't have Sam Laporta doesn't mean that you can't bring in another tight end. Doesn't mean that you can't bring in another offensive lineman. You should have had David Montgomery in the back, Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot, J-Mo next to him, Amon-Ra on the other side, bring in Tesla at times. But you should have neutralized the Eagles with speed, and you should have brought in a 7-man protection to protect Goff. We didn't need 5 options on every play. We don't. We need 3 options on every play when you have the speed and the ability that this Lions offense does. He blew it. He didn't even take his own advice from 2 weeks before, going up against a very similar style of a defense that is an attacking front, and he didn't do it. So what do you think about that? What is your biggest issue with last night's game?
Well, how about I do this? I'll do my final 30 seconds here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read what I posted right after the game last night. We lost by 7, and it feels like we lost by 40. The only good things about tonight were the defense and flashes from Gibbs and J-Mo. As far as Goff goes, get rid of the gloves. It's 48 degrees. Don't ask Goff to throw it more than 30 times. 0 for 5 on 4th downs and only 1 field goal try. So many reasons we lost this game. The biggest for me was coaching. Dan lost us this game. And yes, it was flashbacks to the NFC Championship game and not taking easy field goals. It's great when it works, but 0 5 on 4th downs with 0 points on 5 drives is inexcusable. I am not happy. We go from 1st in the division to 3rd, and we go from the number 3 seed to out of the playoff picture. We do have 3 straight home games, but that will not be a cakewalk. Now we have to hope the Bears and Packers lose a game and we retake the lead. Ugh. And that's what I got to say.
That's good stuff. I'll leave you with this. I am not concerned about the ebbs and flow of the season. I'm not concerned about going from 3rd to 0. I'm not concerned about being at 1st in the NFC North to 3rd or 4th from week to week like that. I don't let that stuff get to us because it's going to happen. It's just you have teams that have had bye weeks and teams that haven't. When all the bye weeks are done, well, then you better stay on top. But right now, not everybody's had a bye, so it kind of screws with the schedule a little bit in the rankings. I am less concerned about that. But everything else you said, man, spot on. Like, we still have plenty of time and games in front of us. We're not even close. Not even close to being out of this race. I went and looked at the wind report, and I know you got to go. Last night was 25-mile-an-hour winds inside the stadium.
Yep.
16-mile-an-hour winds still at after 7 p.m. And even at midnight, there was still 12 to 14-mile-an-hour winds. And it was a swirling pattern. The temperature at 45 degrees felt more like 32 degrees, and it snowed. So it was definitely a lot colder than I think what people thought. If you look at J-Mo, I mean, they had everything all covered up. Because it was so cold. So I don't know why they were saying it was only 48 or 45. It was much, much, much colder than that last night in Philly or Lincoln Stadium. So I don't know. I don't understand the difference there. Why?
Yeah, they practiced outdoors all week. It shouldn't have made a difference.
No, it shouldn't have. No, the weather shouldn't. It shouldn't have. It really shouldn't. But the glove usage... He's done it many times before and has never had an issue.
Yeah, everybody complains about the gloves every time they see them. And in my mind, right from the beginning of the game, every pass looked off. Every pass. So I just...
That was wind. So that's
I
win.
think some of it had. I think some of it, and he was messing with those gloves on every friggin' play, and it was just driving me nuts. Just take them off if they're bugging you.
Well, the thing is they can only wear certain brands of gloves, from what I understand. And so here's my problem: the NFL, and I don't know what gloves they are. They might be Nikes. They need custom fitting gloves. They need to have their hand measured, and they get a custom fit glove for the season. That way it stays within the NFL specs and the the jersey guidelines and all of that. Because if it's too big in the wrist or too big on the pinky, which I always had that problem, like gloves are too long on the pinky, partly because I have boxer fractures, so my pinkies are shortened. The thing is, you shouldn't have to mess with your gloves. You know what I mean? Shouldn't have to. Jalen Hurts' hands and Jared Goff's hands are not that much different. I mean, Jalen Hurts has like 9 3/4 inch hands. I think Jared Goff's like 9 1/4. So it's not a hand issue. It's just being able to hold on to the ball. But all right, we'll catch you guys. We'll catch you in the morning, Eric. I got a couple more things I want to get through here.
Okay.
And we'll recap this a little bit more in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow, Eric. Have a good day, man. Good luck on your project today. Be right back.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
I got to find that final statement by Eric. I don't know where he posted that, but that was a really good statement, man. You know, far too often we get jaded a little bit. As Lions fans, we've been through a lot. Primarily been at the bottom for my entire life until these last few seasons. There was a couple of bright spots, in the 90s and the 2000s, but that's about it. The last 5 seasons have been every season's been different. 2021, it was like, whatever. We expected this. 2022, the first half was, oh my God, fire everybody. Not this guy. And not for Eric either. If there's one thing that I think Eric and I have always locked in on is the support, the unwavering support for Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and what they do with their coaching staff and Jared Goff. Last night, seeing those messages and comments about Jared Goff that he's the problem, it's all his fault. It wasn't. He's not. He's the biggest reason why you're in this position right now. Jared Goff is the primary reason why the Lions have won. It takes more than one. It does. It takes Jared and Amon-Ra. It takes Jared and Jahmyr Gibbs. It takes Jared and David Montgomery. It takes Jared and J-Mo. It takes 2 always. But there was no Amon-Ra without Jared Goff teaching him everything and making him a smarter football player. It took multiple coaches and other staff members to work with Jared and the rest of the team to come up with the scheme that they used 22, 23, 24 that has been tops of the league. It took Hank Fraley getting that offensive line together, who's consistently been at the top. I'm more convinced right now than ever. Yes, I believe Dan Campbell can call a good game, but I think that it's tied too much to his emotion. And I think that's the issue. And I don't know this definitively, but I think that's the issue from last night. Where Dan Campbell is in a game and he has to make those decisions on 4th down to go for it or not go for it. And now you're the one that's also calling plays. I think that is where we need separation of power. That's where the emotion, I think, comes in. And last night, I think it it blew up. Well, I know it did. It blew up in her face. When Dan Campbell is making a 4th down call, and all he's doing is saying, stay out there, go for it. And that call is going to Ben Johnson. He's already got a play ready, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. It's easy to separate yourself from that. You made the call to go for it. Yeah, you're listening to what's going on. You may or may not have something, to add to that. You may tell Ben or whomever, hey, I think this looks good here. But primarily, Ben's got the call. He's making the call. You trust what the call is going to be. Dan's just saying go for it. But last night, it's Dan saying go for it, and then it's also Dan coming up with the play. So where he maybe has a little bit of time to contemplate on what he's going to do on this 4th down, he doesn't have that much time to contemplate and scramble up a play. Even though he has his call sheet, right, that has the 4th down calls on it. It's a section in the sheet. They're highlighted in a certain color code. Run versus pass. I think it can be too much for a coach at times that isn't used to being in that situation over and over and over and over and over again. And I want to make sure that I'm clear where I say that I'm not saying Dan is not smart. I'm not saying that Dan can't do it. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is in the heat of the moment, it's a little bit more difficult. It's like riding a bike. The first time you jump on, it usually ends up in the grass or it ends up on the sidewalk and you've got a skinned up knee. Or maybe even worse, you run into a curb or a parked car. All right, then the training wheels come off and it gets really bad. But before you know it, that 3rd or 4th or 5th attempt or 3rd or 4th or 5th game, you're up, you're going. And now you have to learn how to stop. Well, you might blow through the first stop sign. Your dad has a heart attack because there was a car that just nearly missed you. Somehow you hit the brakes, but you ended up on the pavement anyway. That's kind of what I saw last night. Dan Campbell couldn't get the bike up and going. But when it did finally get going, he put the brakes on too early. Ended up back on the ground. Picked up the bike, started going again. And then you get into a 4th down situation and you absolutely hit a parked car 5 times in a row on 4th down. The Lions need separation of power there. Dan Campbell needs an offensive coordinator that can do his freaking job. But I also believe the more times Dan picks up that bike, the better he's going to get and stay in his own rhythm. It's not just the rhythm of the offense. It's the coach's rhythm. It's the caller's rhythm. They have to be a mixologist. It's a term that I've coined for years now. With Ben Johnson, he was the mixologist, man. He was mixing up the plays, dialing up the plays to where the defense didn't know what was coming, and the offense was excited to run every single one of them. In this instance, last night, you had the worst possible situation. 25-mile-an-hour swirling winds. Cold. Right? Rainy. Night game. Millions and millions and millions and millions of eyes on you in a nationally televised game. And Dan is calling plays for the 2nd game in a row. A game that I think a lot of us expected more out of Dan, but I think that we should have expected less. Maybe I should have looked at the weather report prior to doing my keys of the game. It wouldn't have changed a whole lot. But I think it was all too much of a factor last night. And Jared Goff, didn't matter if he hit the guys in the hands, they still dropped it. You complete a couple of those, it's a different game. You have 2 less batted balls, it's a different game. Everybody hit a parked car last night. But that doesn't mean you're not going to pick up the bike again and get it figured out. Because this next week is it's a new team. It's a new environment. You're back home. You're on solid, straight pavement, and it should be smooth sailing as much as smooth sailing can be. But that doesn't mean he's not going to skin his knee. It doesn't mean that he's not going to fall down. Doesn't mean that he's not going to have a near miss with an oncoming car. But I like Dan's chances in, the week 3 or 4 or 5 towards the end of the season when Dan has had a lot more time to ride that bike. I think he had a really good opportunity against Washington. I mean, totally different type of a game. Totally different. Different everything. Good defense, but not the Eagles' defense. Jalen Phillips was an animal last night, and he should have been contained, and he wasn't. There's a couple of things that really stick out to me that the Lions need to figure out. Penei Sewell's pass pro is like Aiden Hutchinson's run defense. They're both not good. That has to get fixed. Tate Ratledge is a rookie. You expect rookies to make mistakes. It's expected. You can't expect this guy to come in and be a world beater right guard in year 1. No one has ever expected that from him. But we do expect him to play to a better level. And last night he did not. He had his worst game yet. He also went up against some of the best defensive tackles and linebackers and edge rushers he's ever seen. He needed to ride the bike. He fell down. He hit parked cars often. But the next game, he'll be better for it. When he sees him again in the postseason, it won't be the same output. It'll be much better for him. So I'll go back to my analogy here of the Kansas City Chiefs of 2023. They didn't look like a Super Bowl team leading up to the Super Bowl. But they did when they got into the playoffs. They made the plays that mattered. Yes, they had help from the refs. No denying that. But they made the plays that mattered the most. And the Lions have the ability to do that. Now, if we were to lose Jared Goff, season's over. If we lose Jameson Williams, season's probably over. Because there's just too many injuries on the offensive side of the football when not everything else is clicking right now. But there's still time. The season's far from over. Kelvin Shepard is doing an amazing job. And so if there's one thing that we don't have to worry about right now, it is that the defense is about to get extremely healthy quickly. And that should make you all the more excited for what's going to happen here the last quarter of the season. We should be undefeated, at least in the last quarter. There's going to be some bumps between now and then. But this defense getting Marcus Davenport back and Josh Paschal back and DJ Reed back and Terry and Arnold back, I mean, we are missing some very good ball players. And to think that this defense is already playing at the level that it is, imagine where it's going to be when we have everybody back that has now played a couple of games and they're playing at a higher level. We needed turnovers last night. The most important thing of last night's game, I said, is win the turnover margin. You have to win it. We didn't get an interception. We had an opportunity on a couple of plays. We didn't get a turnover by knocking out a fumble. There was one on the ground. Got to pick it up. And if you're not winning the turnover game and you're constantly failing and hitting parked cars on 4th down, you're stacking the chips against yourself. And Dan Campbell did that last night. And I can't fault him for everything because no matter which way you slice the bread in this game, it was going to be a tough game. The team, the environment, the weather, I don't care. It was all a factor. But great teams rise above. Right now, we are not operating at full strength. But I do believe the Lions can get it back. Let me get into the chat here for a moment. Jay Cruz, it says Brad Holmes did a nice job on the secondary. I'll tell you that. Just need the offense back. Dude, that's Music to my ears, man. The Legion of Whom is the story of the season right now. Alongside Calvin Shepard. To think how many guys, Arthur Mollett played extremely well last night. Thomas Harper was like a missile coming out of that defensive secondary when he took on, I think he came up and shut down Brown on a fourth down play that led to a field goal. Or a third down play that led to a field goal. They played extremely well. And the fact that now some of these guys are going to be our backups, and we have to figure out a way to keep them, that's a great problem to have. Kirby Joseph's not in the game last night. So just think about a couple of those players in this game. Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, and DJ Reed. What happens in this game next? Because now you can play a little bit more man. My thought immediately goes to, okay, well, maybe the Lions play a little bit more man in this game, and then it really gets lopsided. Maybe they wouldn't have stuck to the zone contain scheme. But then again, if you are able to stay sticky and you play the man under, like I had mentioned in the keys to the game, using that 4-3 hybrid base front in the man under scheme last night worked great. But if you have DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold that are playing a little bit more sticky, you now have more options to get after the quarterback, firing Brian Branch, firing in our Arthur Mollett or Namik Robertson, Derek Barnes, whatever. Someone can then get after the quarterback more often. You're trying to win with 4, and then you send 1 extra on a delayed blitz. That's what we needed to see last night. A little bit more delayed blitz. It was just hard to do with how this game was going. And the minute we did it, we didn't do it well. There you go. Southwest Line 26 says, man, good job stopping that tush push. That was Eric's call of the game. Last week, Friday, I believe. He said that the Lions were going to stop the tush push and they were going to get a couple of false starts. Big call by Eric. And it absolutely happened. I was thoroughly impressed. Tyleik Williams had an amazing game last night. A guy that has not been getting a ton of reps, all of a sudden gets some reps last night. And he played out of his damn mind. Let me see if there's any PFF. I haven't used PFF in weeks because we use it for other things, but I just quit looking at the grades because it is so atrocious. I'm just curious if there's anything up yet for Tyleik Williams. No, still in review. Tyleik Williams last night, 4 tackles, 2 solo. He wasn't credited with any TFL, sacks, passes defensed, or quarterback hits last night, but he made some critical stops in the run game. Critical stops. Defense is legit. And for everyone that's been crying about the defense and the edge and this, that, and the other thing, I don't think they understand how good this defense really is right now, especially on paper. I mean, just looking at some of these guys that played last night. Roy Lopez, standing up that tush push. Nobody expected Roy to be the guy that he is during summer and August when I think Raw reminded us yesterday or the day before or Friday how I mentioned that Roy Lopez was going to be a problem. And I went back to that game where we played Washington the year before and how Roy Lopez was giving Frank Ragnow fits. That Roy Lopez has shown up so many times. He had a sack last night. Exactly what you want to see. I think he matched it up. I think Aiden got half a sack, which I don't know if I agree with that, but it was all Roy Lopez on that play. DJ Reader, big game last night. Thomas Harper, like I said, 5 tackles, 4 solo, huge game. Jack Campbell, I'll take the push-ups. 15 total tackles last night, 1 TFL, 7 solo. He was everywhere. He was everywhere last night. Rock Ya-Sin, you couldn't have asked for a better game. 1 pass defensed, 6 tackles. Amik Robertson, you couldn't have asked for a better game. 2 passes defensed, 4 total tackles. Let me tell you a little bit more about Amik Robertson and what these guys were doing last night that was so impressive. Amik Robertson covered Devonta Smith on 15 routes last night and did not allow Smith a reception on 3 targets and recorded 2 passes defensed. Robertson stayed within 1 yard of Smith for 1.55 seconds per route last night. The highest average time in tight coverage in any receiver-defender matchup since 2018. Brad Holmes, give him a contract, please. Robertson allowed completions on all 4 of his targets against other receivers for 51 yards, though. But against Devonta Smith, he didn't. Against his primary target, he didn't. That's a really good game for Amik Robertson. Rock Ya-Sin on A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown faced off against Rock Ya-Sin last night. 19 of his 28 routes run, including 14 man coverage matchups, with 8 of his 11 targets coming against Rock Ya-Sin. In just his 3rd start this season, Yassine played tight man coverage against Brown, allowing just 4 receptions for 39 yards and forcing 5 tight window targets. On average, Yassine spent 1.02 seconds of each matchup with Brown within 1 yard of Brown. What did I just say about Amik? That was a whole half a second more for Amik. 1.02 seconds versus 1.55 is eternity in this league. Yassine's 19.4 seconds in tight coverage against Brown is the second most Brown has faced against a cornerback in a game in his career. Brown did draw defensive pass interference, which we do know is all BS, on that 3rd and 8 with 151 remaining. So a big shout out to Raw B1s. He said, and I quote, Rock Ya-Sin is a bigger body, needs to be on A.J. Brown. I wanted to see Amik Robertson on Brown with a little bit of shade over top and a bracket. But they went Rock Ya-Sin, bigger body, Devonta Smith, Amik Robertson. Great call by Raw B's last night or last week. Quinton Mitchell. We do now know and understand that Brad Holmes had Quinton Mitchell high on his list. Had he not been taken early, Quinton Mitchell was going to be a Detroit Lion. He did not allow a single reception on any of his 6 targets last night, tied for the most targets without a reception in a game over the last 2 seasons. Mitchell played 39 snaps in coverage, which was tied for the 3rd most coverage snaps by an outside cornerback in a game this season without allowing a reception. This was Mitchell's 3rd game this season where he didn't allow a reception. Mitchell has allowed just 41.9% completion percentage in coverage this season, the lowest by any player with 50-plus targets in a season since 2018. And you wonder why Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown couldn't get a ball last night, or they were in tight coverage, or why Jared Goff was having trouble throwing the football. It's easy to look at a screen, and I always know the individual that just looks at the game and then says, oh, Jared Goff can't throw the ball. Oh, it's all Jared Goff's fault. Because you watch the ball go in the dirt, or, you watch the ball sail over the head, or, the ball's getting batted down or whatever, right? I understand who those people are, and then I understand and can tell who the people are that watch film. And the reason why I say that is because when you see a stat like this, and then you go in and watch the film, what you are going to see I'll tell you right now, you don't even have to watch it. Here's what you're going to see. Quinton Mitchell draped all over his assignment. Probably the first progression for Jared Goff off the snap. And Jared has to wait and wait and wait. You're now a second and a half into the play, and that receiver doesn't have any separation. So is that Jared Goff's problem? Or is that the receiver's problem? It's the receiver's problem. But you see that the casual is going to say that's Jared Goff's fault. He couldn't make a good throw. The analyst is going to say Jared didn't have a window to throw to other than a tight one. And he had to wait. And when he had to wait, the pressure got to him. There's a stark difference between two types of people. The ones that watch the game and the ones that watch the film. The ones that watch the film are going to notice that last night Jared Goff was playing behind the 8-ball. His receivers couldn't get separation last night. And because of that, balls are either coming out late, they're coming out lopsided, you've got wind in your face, you got a defensive line that's throwing the ball back at you. You got all these different things going on. The offensive line's breaking down, and Jared Goff is getting pressure in under 2.6 seconds. Pressure, not blitz without pressure. He's getting blitz with pressure, and then he's also getting a natural 4 into his face with pressure. Now, he only had, 16 pressures, I think, last night. But it was enough. It was enough because he wasn't able to do anything differently given the situation with the weather. If it was a clean night, 60 degrees, yeah, he probably could have done a few more things. And a couple of those balls are probably caught. Let's talk about the defense for just a moment again. I know I talked about this earlier in the show, but for those of you that maybe have missed it, I do want to wind back to Aiden Hutchinson. Find the stat. Where's the stat? Where did it go? Well, that's odd. It was literally just right here. Huh. Well, let me look at a different area. Well, I guess there's the one on Jordan Mailata, which I already had mentioned this one. How Mailata did not allow a single pressure last night on 31 pass block snaps. And 9 of those came against Aiden Hutchinson. So we know for sure Aiden had a minimum of 9 one-on-ones last night in a true pass set situation. And he didn't win one of them. He didn't even sniff the quarterback. That has been a glaring issue for me during his entire career, because when he gets unblocked, opportunities, or he's going up against inferior offensive linemen, that's when Aiden Hutchinson seems to win. When he's going up against, third-rate tackles and guards, that's where he seems to win. Last night, you're going up against a guy in Jordan Mailata who is, he's massive. This is where that whole arm length thing comes into play, and I'm not going to beat that horse to death again this morning, but I want to say that Jordan Mailata probably has 35-inch arms. There you go, 35 and a half. 35 and a half inch arms. And what is he, 6'7", 6'8", 350 pounds? He is, where is he? 6'8", 360 pounds, 35.5-inch arms. His ape score is 1.13. That's insane. So, yeah, when you're that long, it's tough to beat. And that's why the contained game is so important, because it doesn't matter who you have on the other side. You're still not going to win that matchup. A guy like Myles Garrett that has 35-inch arms can win that matchup more times than not because he can play with leverage. He can use his long stab arm to stay away from Maeda and then get underneath him. Aiden can't do that. There's no spin move that is going to work against that. You have to get inside the pads and use that bull rush, which Aiden did a couple of times yesterday. And it was great to watch, to see him actually do it. But he has to do it more. You have to get Maeda on his heels. You have to come in, speed to power, get up underneath that rib cage, and drive him on his heels if you can. I'd rather see him do that than what they were doing last night. But they needed to give Aiden a little bit of help, yes. And what I meant by that last night is I wanted to see the 3 defensive tackles, but put both of the edge on one side. And then bring either Jack or Derek Barnes on the other side to shut down the other edge and be there to lock it down, because that's exactly where they're going to go. But if you put both of those guys on the wide side of the field and you rush 2 ends off one side, maybe you do a little stunt twist, something on the interior, that is where I think you're going to have some success against some of these offensive lines. And the Lions aren't doing it. Now, credit to Shep. Great game plan. Great job. We probably could have done 1 or 2 more tricks in this game that would have helped Aiden get home or helped him have a little bit more pressure on Jalen Hurts. At the end of the day, what I don't want to hear or what I don't want to see, and we'll always see it, is that Aiden needs help on the other side. And it's just not true. It's not true at all. Eric mentioned it. I don't know if it was during the show this morning or if it was when we were in the back studio, where I know I mentioned it. They gamed up Aiden and used his aggressiveness against him last night on a couple of plays. And if I were to go back through the box score and tell you exactly when this happened, the play-by-play, and tell you when this happened, it should have been towards the end of the second quarter. Let me see if I can find it on the film here. Should be second quarter, 2:21 in the second. I'm just going to go through a couple of these and I'll be done for the day. Here we go. I don't want any down selected. Okay, so on this play, you have Aiden to... Yeah. This is not one of the plays that I was thinking of, but it is another problem. So Aiden's on the left side of the defense. He's on the short side of the field. Oh, passed it. Come on, get back there. 2, 2, 1. Okay, so Aiden, when Aiden comes off the snap, he's in the wide 9. He comes up, he makes contact. You have a pulling tight end and a pulling tackle coming down towards Aiden's side. He makes contact on the outside leverage of Mayada, I believe. Right? No, that's not Mayada. He makes outside contact, outside leverage with the tight end. He releases, and Aiden crashes inside. And when Aiden crashes inside, which I don't know what he was thinking here because we have nobody behind him. You know what? I'm just going to show you guys. I'll clip this out later if I have to. Okay, so on this play, like these are some of the things that blow my mind that happen that I don't believe they should be happening. Without knowing the assignment, without knowing the full details, we'll never fully know why. But when you see Aiden, you can't see my cursor for whatever reason, but Aiden's on the bottom left. Okay. Lameek Robertson he's out there on Devonta Smith. Bottom left of your screen. Or bottom of your screen. My clear is not working. Oh, well. So Aiden is going to end up crashing. He's going to make contact with this tight end, right? Makes contact. He releases right away. You now have a big tackle that is coming down and another tight end that is coming down. And Aiden is going to crash inward. He just crashes in. Look, he gets sucked in like that. But look behind him. Anzalone, that's Anzalone's hole to fill. Aiden didn't need to be there. Aiden needed to stay outside. Why? Because Amik Robertson is going downfield with Devonta Smith. But Devonta Smith, he's clearly coming out to block. He doesn't look like he's running a route at all. All right, we'll go full speed real quick. Amik starts to back up. Oh, Amik now digs, and he realizes it's a run. Aiden crashes in. He's now out of the play. And we have nobody to this side of the field at the 40. There's nobody between Aiden and the sideline. And so when this happens, Bigsby easily takes that corner for a first down. Now, had Aiden just come up, hit his containment, and stayed here, that play is bottled up for no gain or a very short gain. This kind of stuff can't happen. It just can't. So that's one. But that's not even the play I'm talking about. I got to find the other one. Gotta find it. Where is it? Now, this one was, I think, on Al-Qadim Muhammad. So AQM is going to be top right of your screen. Aiden's on the bottom. Okay. No, that wasn't on AQM. But look what Aiden does differently here. You'll notice how he comes up. Right? This is contain. He's going to come up, sets that edge. He stops. He sets that edge. He doesn't move. The problem that we have is we don't have anybody in the middle of the field right now. Everyone has a man. Top of your screen, you have Amik Robertson on somebody. Anzalone is on Goddard, it looks like. Looks like Jack Campbell is taking either Barkley or Bigsby. I think. I don't know who that is. I can't tell. Derek Barnes. Looks like that might be Goddard on the bottom of your screen. And then Maybe it's Yassin on Brown on the bottom. You got the two safeties in the zone look, the two high safety shell, but nobody's in the middle here around the hashes. So Hurt sees that, takes a snap, and he immediately goes. Well, it's good technique by Aiden there to force everything inside. It's bad technique where we don't have anybody inside. How does that happen? Oh, it was AQM that made the play. So AQM came from the other side of the field to make the play. Okay, so there's two big misses there. I got to find this other. There's a big run play. All right, let's dial this into run only. Let's go to the third quarter. I don't know why I'm not finding it. Let's go back to this one. Okay, so here's another one. All right, Aiden's going to be on the top of your screen. Again, plays good edge on that side. He comes around the side. He makes the play. But if you just watch how Aiden runs around a little bit, it's just kind of like he's just bouncing around. But if he plays good edge on this play, which he does, it forces Barkley to go through the middle. Okay, it forces him to come up. This is where you got to fill those lanes. Your run fit's got to get downhill. Missed tackle there by Harper. But Aiden does a good job by not allowing Barkley to go to the outside. Obviously, this play was never going to go to the outside anyway. But I need to find the one where he absolutely got torched. I saw the one with Bigsby. Where is it? It's not the fourth quarter, is it? We can look at this one, but this is not it either. Aiden's top of your screen. Good contain. Doesn't crash in. Good move by Barkley. Not much you can do there. You know, the big difference with me in this game is you look at what the Eagles are doing. Okay, they have tight end, tackle, guard, center, guard, tackle. And that's either a tight end or another tackle down here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a minimum of 6 guys. And that seventh one being a tight end going in motion. All helping with the run game. They have 7-man protection. Nice blocking scheme. What happened with the Lions, man? Why are we not doing this stuff? That used to be our bread and butter. Good movement. Well, I don't know where that play is. I'll have to find it. I will do the film review this week because I think it's needed after a game like this. I really just want to throw it away. All right, I really don't want to watch it, but I'm going to have to. I'll be watching it today, so I'm just chilling out. Hopefully we'll feel better today. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, we have to get right quickly. And I don't even know what the answer is right now. I really don't. I don't know what the answer is going to be. Derek Lewis, that was supposed to be on the ground, by the way. He had 100 through the air, not on the ground. I thought he was going to have 150 on the ground. He got close. All-purpose yards, he had 146. 146. It's a pretty good day for Jahmyr Gibbs, but only 39 yards on the ground. We should have done more. There was so much more that could have been had here. I mean, you go to Gibbs, he had a 42 long, Jameson had a 40 long, Amon-Ra St. Brown had a 34 in the pass game. And you go away from it. Like Gibbs was lighting it up in the pass game. And it's because you're utilizing that blend of speed and agility and the spatial awareness. And, you know, having that guy in space is huge. You got to take advantage of it. And we didn't. We got away from it. Yeah, so Trace, your comment here about Aiden, you know, when he was at Michigan. You know, there's some things that you can just do extremely well, and then there's other things that you don't do well, right? When I dove in to that draft, and it looks like I got the date wrong all day. What a long night. When I dove into that draft, one of the biggest things that I did not like about Aiden, which don't get me wrong, I'm not an Aiden hater. It's just when you evaluate, you have your good and your bad. You have your pros and you have your cons, right? Well, one of the biggest cons that I had with Aiden was he always seemed to needed a stacked defense. And what I meant by that is back in his sophomore year, I think it was. Didn't he come out as a senior or junior? And he played 3 seasons, right? His first year, he didn't do much at all. I know that I think he was down on the depth chart a little bit. Second year, didn't he break his leg or something happened? It was the year that he came back, I believe, after the leg injury, that he had a really good season. Wasn't it like 19 sacks or something like that? But if you look at that defense was loaded. There was a premier player at every position, almost 11 spots full of premier guys, like elite guys. I think 13 of them were drafted that next year. Something crazy. But when he had a loaded defense and you had offenses that had to pay attention to all 7 guys on the front, that will give you more opportunity to be free, right? To have more one-on-ones, to go up against guys and take advantage of it. Now you combine that with the average offensive line that they went up against that year, Michigan, that schedule. I shit you not. These numbers are going to be very close from memory. I think it was only 3 teams that Michigan faced that year that were top 25. Michigan State and OSU. I think Aiden had 3 sacks against OSU. And I think 1 sack against Michigan State. Both of those offensive lines, OSU was, I believe, a top 20. And I think Michigan State was a top 40. The average offensive line after that Michigan faced was 80th. And they had 5 teams that were ranked in below 80 and some into the 120s, the 130s of the FBS. So the average offensive line that they went up against was atrocious. So you combine that with a loaded defense, and you're going up against some of the worst rated offensive lines, period, and then take that one step further. When did he have his biggest games? Well, he only had 4 sacks against top 25 rated schools. All of the other sacks came against teams, offensive lines that were ranked 80th or worse. That means something. This is not Hayden hate. This is Aiden fact. That means something. And so as an evaluator, if I was ever put in a position to evaluate somebody, I would say, show me your best game. Show me your worst games. And if your best games always align against the worst competition, and your best games always align, if your best games align against the worst competition and your worst games align with the best competition, well, you know what I'm trying to say. Then there's something that's not right there. And then against the run, you're right. Aiden was not good against the run. He's never been good against the run. And I think it's because he has happy feet. He moves too much. But he doesn't move with decisive action. Right? He doesn't hone in and go and stay locked in on the ball. He just goes. And sometimes the ball goes the other way because he's just keyed in on one player. He's not watching the ball. He's just keyed in on the running back. And then Jalen Hurts or somebody else will start going the other way, but he's already crashed in, so the whole wide side of the field is wide open. And that's where, go back to 2022. Go back to his rookie years. A lot of yards racked up against Aiden's assignment and against his rush lanes, where he's supposed to protect that gap. Again, it's just research. I know a lot of people don't have time to do research, so when they hear things like this, they're like, yeah, whatever. You just hate Aiden. No. Well, you're just a Michigan State Spartan. No. I do this for every player on the team. I look at all their stuff. I especially do it for guys that are in the first round. I want to know who they are. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know how good they are. I want to know what we can expect from them. That's how I'm able to talk about them week to week to week to week to week. So do your own research. Go look at it. And I promise you'll come up with the same thing. This doesn't take away from the fact that Aiden's an extremely good football player. He is an extremely good football player. There's just a couple of quirks about his game that don't always add up. And that's where I feel like the Lions need to put him in a better position. Right? Like if you know that he fails at certain things, then why are you putting him in that situation? Or do we not have a choice? Right? Do you have to put him in that situation because the scheme is making, other guys more responsible for certain players on the field, and you don't have a choice, right? You can't shade Aiden side all the time with somebody. I've always said it. If Aiden is going to have trouble in the run game, then you have to put somebody behind him. You have to. You have to protect that gap assignment if all of the other gaps are staying in control. Then if that's the only gap that is seemingly having an issue, of course an offense is going to scheme to that side. And they did. They didn't have a ton of run yards last night, but it did happen. It did show itself where Aiden's gap was exposed. They used the aggressiveness against him, against us. And that's exactly what I said about the Eagles last night. Use that aggressiveness against them. If they're constantly pressuring you, rushing you off the end, let it come. Bring it. Because that's where I'm going to take that pressure and I'm going to dump it off to Gibbs. Or you keep Gibbs back there with you and it's just a quick pitch and he's gone. That kind of stuff blows my mind that we don't take advantage of that stuff. But who does? The Eagles, the Chiefs, the Broncos. Sean Payton definitely does. There's some good teams in this league that will take advantage of what you do wrong. And I think there's more to game planning that way than just going strength on strength, mano a mano. You got to find those weaknesses. You got to exploit them. It's not going to work all the time. These are NFL players, but it works more times than it doesn't. One final thing. Very disgusted last night with Zach Bond. Gibbs broke out a huge run. Might have been for 40 yards. Huge run. And Zach Bond, well, he decides it's okay to try to kick Gibbs in the back of the neck. Now, if you weren't paying attention on the play, I saw it right away during the play. So I stopped what I was doing during the live stream and I started to copy it, record it, and then share it. And I don't know if we got a lot of people to share it or not, but it's these types of things that can't happen. Zach Bond should have been ejected last night. He absolutely should have been ejected last night. But it didn't happen. Wasn't even penalized. I don't even know if he's going to get a fine. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't know how this is going to show up on the screen. Hopefully it shows up just fine, but we'll see. Here we go. All right. So Gibbs is motoring downfield. Zach Bond is number 53. He just entered the screen. Watch his back foot. You really can't tell right there. But when he goes down, he intentionally takes his right leg and slams it into the back of Gibbs, in the back of his helmet. See that? That's an unnatural move. Sorry, your legs don't swing back behind you to the left when your body is going to the right. And he planted on top of Gibbs' head on purpose. Fell right on top of him. That's some dirty ass shit. I'm sorry. Excuse my language, but yeah, what a punk ass. Dirty. Jump on Gibbs' head, and then you try to kick him in the back of the neck. Could you imagine if that cleat ended up making contact with his neck? I mean, what if he would have punctured? What if he would have punctured one of his vertebrae? Right? Or you kick him in the back of the head there, on the bottom side of your, where your brainstem and all that stuff is. What if he would have actually connected with any sort of, strength to the kick? It's bad enough that he decided to jump on Gibbs' head with his ass. Unfortunately, Jack Campbell gets a penalty, 15 yards for putting too much body weight on the quarterback. What about this? Just pathetic. So it's on my X. I would love for you guys all to share it. Oh, looks like this Eagles guy shared it. Hold on. Just disgusting, man. So I would get it out there, make sure that we tag the NFL, and just keep rolling with it. Because this is the kind of stuff that they need to see. There you go. I just sent you the link. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. We'll be on time, if not early. And I'm going to get to work today. So you guys go have yourselves a good rest of your Monday. It's not a victory Monday, but you know what? We're still in it to win it. We still fight forward. And the Lions still have an opportunity to do great things this year. And they'll get it done. This is time for Dan Campbell to step up. And he'll get it done. So see you guys back here tomorrow. Take care. Go and probably go Detroit Lions. Adios.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown. Pressure by